scary. And so when you're sick, it's bad. But there's several layers of fear. A patient is really confused because they're in a foreign world. Doctors get scared because they're trying to fix a problem that's unfixable or ununderstandable until they have to figure it out. And we like to solve problems. We were born to solve problems. We were trained to solve problems. And these problems are very hard to solve sometimes. And especially when you throw in elements that aren't strictly medical.
Well, I think you need to have a doctor somewhere near the center. It can also be the doctor can be the villain. But you also need the doctor character is sort of the interface between your reader and the medical issues that are going on. Someone has to understand it to be able to explain it. And not necessarily an info dump, but in a conversation or something, but somebody has to know what's going on, and because the reader isn't going to know what's going on unless they're also, in the medical field. Let's face it, you can be in one medical field and you're reading something about another medical field and you really don't know what's going on, because medicine has become so vastly complex now that there's so much going on in subspecialties that it's like science fiction. I hear what's going on with even in genetics and things like that. It used to be science fiction. Now it's every day. So you need that interface to make things understandable.
Actually, I would like to, now, again, Paul, you were like saying that you know that there are rules of medical thrillers. And I guess I always feel like my place on this earth is to break all the rules. Because I used to do that. All my original medical suspense had a doctor or a nurse at the center. And when I branched into YA, I was like, I can't just artificially throw a doctor in there explaining everything. So thank God for the internet. These kids are figuring it out themselves on Google. And, you guys that are still in practice, I know even before I left pediatrics 7 years ago, my patients were doing that too. They would bring in these printouts from Google and from searches and all the research they've done on their own. So I think that's a really fascinating area to move into. Where, how about if you're not a medical professional and you're trying to understand these complexities, wow, it's a life or death situation. That kind of ups the stakes.
They also go to the wrong places.
Yes,
and they come in with bizarre.
Yeah, but to that leads to complications and conflicts, and that stuff you can play with, is when you get in that realm of things can go wrong, especially because you don't have the knowledge base. So I don't know. I think it's kind of fun sometimes to bend the rules.
I think it's neat to have. I think I agree with Paul. You have to have some sort of medical person that bridges some of the information, but it doesn't have to be your main protagonist. It doesn't even have to be a main character. But you do have to have some interface to make a smooth transition for the reader so that they can understand. Because that character, if your protagonist is not a medical person, they're going to be getting that information, and you want to have a way to share that. But I do like the idea of having a main protagonist in a medical thriller that isn't medical, because then you are developing a character with all those fears that Doug was talking about. The idea of being terrified when you're in a hospital. I write supernatural stuff like several other of us, but there's nothing scarier than being in a hospital and not knowing anything and not understanding what's going to happen. The doctor comes in for 3 seconds and tells you stuff in Latin that you don't understand. You're afraid to ask questions. It's horrifying. So you already have this baseline level of terror that you can establish just by having a protagonist who's not a physician. And then you can build on that with supernatural elements or thriller elements. Or
if you can't have a lecture in a medical classroom, so you've got to take maybe somebody that's a physician, nurse, whatever, and put them in an environment where they really have to get the hell out of there.
One of the things that we have to offer as doctors, and what makes one of our books stand out more than somebody else's book, and for my part, I really think that the most important thing I have to offer to a reader is that I'm a doctor, and that I've spent my whole life feeling what it's like to be a doctor and feeling what it's like to be in these situations. And otherwise, nothing sets me apart from any other author. Granted, I have a good imagination. We all, do good stories. But what I can really do is I can get into the heart of a doctor or a nurse. I can write about them with incredible feeling and empathy and emotion, and that's something that not so many people can bring to the table.